All right, episode number 4, AI Growth Hacking Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Best. I'm here with my younger brother, Addison Best, once again. It is a Friday night here. It's 10:20 p.m. My son's in bed. He's 7. Addison's just went to bed. And we're really into this ad because we're in the whole Friday night thing. Depending on where you're listening in the world, whenever this gets uploaded, just this is what we're doing on the weekends because we are so excited, honestly, about all this AI stuff. And we're talking about this is an awesome topic. We're talking about training your own AI model. And a lot of people they think they're training a model, but in fact, they're not training it at all. And we're going to talk about what they think they're doing versus what you could be doing. So, if you want to just jump in and give a little bit of an insight into what we're talking about, that could be pretty good.
Well, that was quite an interlude. I appreciate that. Yeah, so we're talking about training models today. And for some reason, I got the idea to train myself as a visual model. And I actually made a kind of like a trained model like Addison, ChatGPT 4.0 Addison. I use Flux, but you get the idea. It's like a version of a model just for me. I trained myself with 10 photos, and then I wanted to make images of myself in different scenarios. And it turned out really good. And I actually had horrible inputs, and it still turned out well. And it's quite interesting when you actually train a model versus asking ChatGPT to give a photo of you, which doesn't work at all.
Yeah, so we're going to show that too because we have that. So basically, the idea is if you upload something into ChatGPT or into Claude or what have you, and you say, okay, train yourself on what I just uploaded, that is not training anything. That's really the whole point. So a lot of people will do something like, here are 10 articles I've written. Now I want you to understand my writing style and everything. And then you can write the next article based on my writing style. Now that doesn't work at all. And that will work in a very similarly poor level to the same concept of if you upload a photo of yourself to ChatGPT and say, okay, here's me. This is a real photo. Now I want you to make another photo that looks exactly like me but doing something else. This photo will be completely pathetic. But if you do it properly and you actually train a model, which you can't do from just a regular chat GPT type interface, um, then you can get real life photos. So we're going to actually show you what Ad has done here and just open up this whole world into just open your eyes into this idea of like what is it like to train a model versus what is it like just to upload stuff and hope for the best. So Ad, why don't you let's start the slideshow and I'm going to describe them if you happen to be in the car and you're listening. But at some point you should hop on and just check it out on YouTube if you're not and actually see the photos because they're quite something.
Yeah, so Andrew's going to be doing a verbal rendition of what he sees. He'll be his version of Andrew Best's vision. That's going to be the model he's going to be using here.
So you can see Addison there. You can see Addison talking, so you have the idea of what he looks like in real life because that's him. So take a look at this. Ad's going to share the screen.
Okay, so this is my ChatGPT window, and I uploaded a bunch of pictures of myself, and then I said to ChatGPT, here's a picture of me, and how about you show me wearing a suit after kind of training with these photos that I can use in LinkedIn. And I just wanted to see the result that I would get, and I didn't think it would be a great job, but it was surprisingly bad. So I'm going to show you the actual example of what it gave me, which is kind of shockingly bad. And here it is. What do you think, Andrea?
Okay, so there is basically a guy with a shaved head. It doesn't even look like a person. All they've picked up is basically white male, shaved head, in a suit, right? Like nobody would think that is you, and that's the whole point is it doesn't matter what you upload into ChatGPT. You're not changing the model weights at all. You are just giving it a basic idea so it can look at them. It has the vision. It sees the general idea, but it's not rearranging the weights. It's not a new model. It's not a trained model. Now, when you actually do it in a different way, you have to pay money. Like this costs a few US dollars to train it properly on just a few photos because the basic idea is there's a lot of computer power that goes into really training, but just uploading and saying, go do something doesn't work. So the idea is if you do that with writing or something, it's not going to work either. It'll get a similarly poor impression, just like this thing here, where it gets a very broad overview, but it doesn't train. It doesn't really get it, right, Ed?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's hard to know what it did, but it certainly didn't make a realistic photo of myself in that situation that I could use on LinkedIn. Now, I didn't ask any follow-up questions like, what did you think about this? Do you think I could use it in LinkedIn? It would probably give me a pretty funny response. I might try that later. But now I'm going to show you what I actually trained or yeah, well, how I trained the photos. I'll give you a few examples of the model that I trained, and I also gave this to ChatGPT. So ChatGPT also gave me this. One example was a person with hair. I chose the bald man. It was at least a little bit closer. And now I'm going to show just the people of my training. So these are real photos of me, not even high res or anything. This is me at my wedding, actually. I look kind of crazy. Me in a boat, me, just a random picture of me, and then just kind of some mug shots almost, just to show that, that's me. And basically, mostly of these kind of variations. Like, I didn't do a great job. And now this is actually a version that this AI model created. It's me at a coffee shop. And I wasn't on a computer. This is just, it created this version of me. So, Andrew, I don't know if you think that looks like me.
Absolutely. So, like, mom and dad would think that's you. I mean, the only thing I'm noticing there is the body, it doesn't pick up exactly, although it's similar enough. But for some reason, they put a little tattoo on your bicep and your arms are a little bit skinnier there. But that is incredibly realistic. I mean, the face and everything, that's like 99 out of 100 in terms of being photorealistic. And that just gives the whole idea that that is training. So we didn't show you how to do it, but we're just giving the idea of if you are training and to train you need some like computer coding like Python and some libraries and other things to go on. But the point is you can't do this with Chat GPT. You have to be in the back end actually training something and rearranging the model weights, and then you can get something incredibly accurate.
Exactly. So I didn't even use very good images, and I just quickly tried to do this just so I could see if it even worked. And I'm going to show you a couple other examples just to give you an idea. So this is a relaxed image of me in a coffee shop. The next image of me is doing some kind of a maybe a presentation for business. I'm wearing a suit, doing a talk to random people. The next one is me on a mountaintop at sunrise. Looks like a pretty interesting thing to do. Definitely looks like me there. I mean, it's a little bit far away, but you get the idea. Here's me that I wrote some kind of novel, and I'm just kind of excited about it, I guess.
It's a funny expression, but it's pretty accurate.
Okay, and next one. This is me in a podcast. So the idea was that this one I could be a podcast cover or something for our show, and it looks pretty accurate. And again, I didn't do a lot of training photos, especially with my mouth open. So it did a pretty great job capturing what I look like, and it hardly even had any data. That's the crazy part. I think it only had one or two images
I mean,
of me. with my mouth open, which is pretty crazy.
The eyes here are a little bit freaky, but it's just amazing how, like, I mean, sometimes you have a bad photo of yourself, right? In real life, if people take pictures, sometimes photos like don't really look like any of us, right? So these are pretty good, and it just shows what real training can do. Do you have anything else? Where's that TED Talk one? I thought that was good.
Yeah, so I'll just do the rest that I have on the loop here, and then we can talk about it. We'll go back full screen after this. So again, here's me in a suit. That's the full example. And this is definitely looks like me in this one, but I don't even own a suit. That's the crazy part. And it's kind of interesting because I wanted me in a suit for LinkedIn, and I could definitely use this one. I would say like 100%.
And that even kind of looks like your house.
Yeah, exactly. It could look like, I mean, you can't even tell. I wouldn't even know if it wasn't a picture of me, except for the fact that, um, I don't own a suit, so I would know it wasn't me. And this one is pretty funny. Just me and some kind of talk, a TED talk. The funny thing I noticed about this is if you look at the people in the background, especially the guy on the left, he looks like me slightly. They made the people look like me, which is kind of weird.
Oh, even the ladies?
Yeah, a little bit. Look at the guy
I
on
don't
the
know.
left.
I don't think so.
Look at the guy on the left. Look
I
at
think
him
he
right
looks
now.
more like a young Rob Hubbard.
Okay, well, maybe, but anyway, you get the idea, though. This is again with hardly any training. I hardly did anything, and I started doing. Again, these are just random prompts. Like I could make them better. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We can get back to talking about it now.
But we should point out that the background looks great. Like they all look like real people, right? I mean, the photo of the people in the background look like a real audience. I'm just saying it's not like they I think it's also interesting that not only do those photos look like you, all the backgrounds look great too. The people in the background looked good. You being on a mountain, like the whole mountain scene looked good. Being in the house, the lighting looked good. Like everything about these photos look good. And also it looks like a real photo, which is neat. But then there's nothing weird about the rest of the photo that would ruin it, right? Like if you said me in a canoe, they would put you in like a paddling shape, like a paddling pose, and then it would look legitimate with proper lighting and everything. It wouldn't just be like cut out and then plopped into a canoe. So it wouldn't like these scenic photos wherever you are look legitimate in every aspect. The interesting thing, one of them, I think, is I'll bet you if you had a bunch of these photos and then 20 years go by, maybe even less, it's very possible that you wouldn't remember what's real and what isn't, right? Like if you saw like a whole bunch of photos when you were 10 or even 15 or 20, it would be easy to not know what was real and what wasn't because the photos look real and you just wouldn't even remember yourself. That's what I think. It would take a while to figure it out. And you may forget that you didn't own that suit. Yeah. Now the other thing is what would be interesting to do is what about if we did this? We haven't tried yet, but if we did it with writing or something, this is the next thing we're looking at, right? We tried before just uploading 10 samples of my writing and it doesn't work, but it would be neat to upload the samples of writing and see if it actually could pick out, you know, things. If it really could pick out the idiosyncrasies in my writing or anybody's and have that as a service to sell, which I don't think anybody's really doing that properly. That would be really cool. I mean, the overarching point is you have to train a model, and that means you have to pay enough money and server costs to have the model have different weights. It has to actually change the model. And if you don't, it just doesn't work and it's not called training in any way, shape, or form. An absolutely terrible deal and super expensive for ChatGPT to offer it on their $20 a month plan. Like if they allowed anybody to upload stuff and train, it would cost them like $5, $2 to $5 every time you uploaded something. So it would be a fortune to do. So that's why they don't let you do it. I mean, they could offer you that service, but it would be a fortune. So this is you have to pay the extra and do it yourself. Well, this is why Google now is even they're investing in, or they bought like a nuclear power plant to power their upcoming energy needs. This is where all the power is and all this training. And it is expensive and it does take a lot of electricity, which ends up meaning a lot of money. So, but the point, it doesn't matter. The point is, it's not that much in real dollars and it's really powerful. And it's something that you're unable to do with just these regular models. And then this opens up a whole bunch of opportunities for SaaS companies because if you need something actually trained, then you can make a service where someone does upload photos and says, make me a headshot. There's these headshot companies that do it. Like my LinkedIn photo is one of these AI photos. That I paid for, and we do recommend that service because it's a good one. So they're paying the server cost to train on you, and then you make that. We could make that. We could make one for if you want action photos. Maybe you were talking out about upscaling photos, or maybe you want a bunch of photos for some reason of yourself when you were a little kid, but you want them in higher res and you want them doing different stuff. You might have said, I never played hockey, but I'd like to see me playing hockey when I was 7. I mean, now that kind of thing's possible. I don't know exactly why you'd want it, but maybe it'd be cool. But I think we should maybe just try to end it because we're getting close.
And we are the AI growth hacking podcast, aigrowthguys.com.